A logical fallacy is the use of faulty reasoning, which weakens an argument's claim or otherwise renders an argument's claim unsound. In other words, logical fallacies are the different ways that other people lie to us, the different ways that we lie to other people, but most importantly, the different ways that we lie to ourselves. Depending on who you ask, there's about 20 different logical fallacies, the most important and obvious of which is a logical fallacy called red herring. A red herring is an idea, example, or proposition that misleads or otherwise distracts from the original topic. The history of the red herring will give us a very vivid mental image of this logical fallacy. A red herring is a small fish which, once caught and salted, turns a vivid red and has a very pungent smell. For this reason, red herrings were often used to distract hunting dogs from their scent, especially during times of war. For example, when Jewish citizens hid in the basements of houses during the reign of Nazi Germany, red herrings were put near these hiding places to distract dogs that were looking for these political refugees. Likewise, in conversation, in debate, and discussion, a red herring is anything that distracts or misleads from the original topic. This fallacy is frequently used in political rhetoric, but is also found, like all logical fallacies, in everyday life. For example, if you ask your father or your mother when dinner will be ready, they might begin talking about the coronavirus shutdowns and the impact of the shutdowns on the economy, the impact of the economy on the food prices, and so on and so forth. The original topic is dinner. The red herring is coronavirus and food costs. Obviously, in this specific instance, a red herring is being used to distract your mother or your father from simply asking you to make dinner yourself. Another everyday example would be if somebody asks you out on a date, and you begin talking about the weather. The original topic is dinner with a friend, and then the thing that misleads or distracts, the red herring, is weather, obviously used to distract or mislead from the original topic. Because a red herring so effectively distracts from the original topic, it is often used as a literary device, where a character or event is used to increase suspense and disguise the motives or obvious conclusion of the plot. This is used in pretty much every murder thriller, and is also found perhaps most prominently in the novels of the Japanese novelist Haruki Murakami, or in the novels of the Czechoslovakian philosopher Franz Kafka, where red herring after red herring after red herring is used to kind of incite a state of suspense and mystery and essentially confusion in the reader. Red herring, like most informal logical fallacies, is used to appeal to a person's emotions instead of addressing the purely logical or intellectual or straightforward part of an argument. For this reason, red herrings are used most dangerously and most effectively in political discussions. I don't think there's been a political discussion in the past, maybe 10,000 years where red herrings haven't been used very, very effectively. And this states to a certain extent our capacity for how much we're driven primarily not by intellect or by logic, but rather by emotions. This is just the way the human being is wired. The most famous of these political red herrings took place during the Democratic presidential debate of March of this year, when the following question was given to Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. How will your policies ensure the physical, emotional, and financial well-being of women? Bernie Sanders briefly mentioned his policies, but emphasized that he's going to appoint women to his cabinet. Joe Biden's reply was one of the primary ways that he effectively gained popularity over Sanders and became the Democratic candidate for president. Joe Biden's reply was not necessarily about his policies, but not really about how his policies are going to be good or beneficial for women, but rather he just mentioned that he's going to nominate a female vice president. The original topic is the policies and how the policies are going to benefit women. The red herring is the gender of the vice presidential candidate. These logical fallacies often overlap. As in the case of Joe Biden, his famous red herring is also an example of a false cause, another example of a logical fallacy. This is a false cause because having a female vice president will not definitely cause Joe Biden's possible presidency to have more effective policies for women. Though it makes sense, and you can make this logical justification or argument that a woman in a position of power will be more concerned about other women. There have been many cross examples and many examples of female vice presidential candidates that have been more explicitly interested in political power rather than writing policies that specifically benefit other women's interests. This is a red herring because the original topic, again, is the effect of the policies on women, and then the red herring, or the thing that distracts, the thing that emotionally charges the argument and effectively gave Joe Biden the presidential candidate for the Democrats, is just making a revolutionary statement about the gender of the vice presidential candidate. Another example of the red herring overlapping with other informal fallacies is the ad hominem fallacy, where a person is attacked instead of their claim. When presidential candidates and parties are asked about a particular candidate's stance on an issue, they often discuss character weaknesses in their opponents as opposed to their policies, such as calling their opponent names, such as saying they can beat up their opponent in a physical fight, which is not only irrelevant to the discussion of politics, but is actually an indication of a lot of things. Though logically unsound because of the intensely emotional quality of this approach, the ad hominem approach and the red herring approach, these logical fallacies remain nevertheless extremely effective. In conclusion, false causes, ad hominems, and red herrings are effective because they are often related to the topic and deserve their own logical consideration, yet these logical fallacies distract and mislead from the original topic, often leading to many emotionally charged discussions, but few satisfying and logical conclusions.